Who is this rogues gallery of interstellar villainy? Find out in this episode of The Kaz. First off, I'll start off with the Telogen. The Telosians are species from the original series. They were actually pre-original series. They were in the original pilot of Star Trek with Jeffrey Hunter as Captain Christopher Pike. They were a race of supreme beings. They have lots of veins on their head there. As you can see there, they have a veiny top of the head there. Their veins would bulge as they talk through telepathy. They don't actually talk with their mouths. They talk with their minds. So whenever they would speak to each other or speak to another character, their head veins would bulge. They were portrayed by a bunch of elderly ladies, and I'm not sure if any of them were men, but I think maybe one of the actors were men. But they have a little pendant there. Looks like a Mercedes symbol right there on their pendant. They're dressed in long robes, and on the bottom here it actually says Telogen, Star Trek, copyright 1991, Paramount Pictures. Let's see, what next? The Mugato. Domo arigato, Mr. Mugato. Here is Mugato, which was a creature on a planet that Kirk had visited when he was younger. It was portrayed as a guy in a white ape outfit, and they put a bunch of spikes, bunch of horns and spikes all over his spine and the top of his head there. The thing about a Mugato is that it had a poisonous bite. So I think McCoy got bit on the planet that they were visiting, and he was out of commission pretty much as a medical officer for that episode. Next, the Gorn. The Gorn is a fan favorite. It's a lizard monster, lizard creature, lizard alien. It's an episode where Kirk had to go down to a planet. Actually, he was taken from a superior alien race. He was taken down to a planet with the Gorn captain of his ship, and they had a fight to the death. And right here, as you can see, is a universal translator that they both used throughout the episode. Kirk, I always thought it was funny because Kirk thought it was some sort of recording device, that he was taking a log of the situation, but it was actually a translator, basically translating walkie-talkie that the Gorn was listening to what Kirk was saying throughout the episode. These were actually brought back for the Star Trek series Enterprise. They were slimmed down a little bit. They were more dinosaur-like, more lizard-like, and not so human-like. He's got that piece of obsidian there that he was going to stab Kirk with. And on the bottom here, you can see there's some little rocks there that kind of look like pyramids. I always thought these three in between his feet look like pyramids. There it says Gorn on the bottom there. A fun fact is that there was I'm not sure if it's ever been proven, but there is a rumor that, or urban legend, that Tom Selleck played the Gorn in that episode. But I don't think I think it's more of an urban legend than anything. But there's the Gorn. Andorians. Andorians are a race of beings in the Star Trek universe that were one of the first races to form the United Federation of Planets with the Vulcans, the Tellarites, and the humans. They're said to be like insect-like, along with their antenna on top of their head. They're supposed to have like an exoskeleton on their torso and their thorax. But he's standing here on a looks like a muddy red, looks like red mud to me, almost like he could be on Vulcan instead of Andor. Bottom here, bottom says Andorian. Besides the original series, they were heavily featured in Star Trek Enterprise. Jeffrey Combs was one of the main actors who played an Andorian. Susie Plaxton of Star Trek Next Generation played an Andorian too. These were in a few episodes of the original series. As you can see on the top of the head, they have antennae, which were sometimes controlled remotely by remote control. Look like they have like little suckers on the end of them, but they're supposed to live on an ice planet. Andor is supposed to be an ice planet, according to Star Trek Enterprise. But this one bent a little bit, so bend that up there. But this is an Andorian. Another original series alien race were the Tellarites. Tellarites were a pig-like race. They had big noses, beady eyes, or deep-set black eyes, coarse hair, and they only had 3 fingers and toes. As you can see here, looks like he's on a field of grass there, ready to, actually had hooves. They didn't have toes, they had hooves. I don't really think that they showed it in the original series. That's right, they're supposed to have hooves. They're very stubborn. I guess they communicate through insults. If you don't insult them back, then you're considered weak. This is what a Tellarite looks like. Belt buckle there. So the bottom here. Oh, it's all white. Can't really see. Can't really see that it says Tellarite there. Keep with the original series, going into the movies and the Next Generation and the other series, and go to a Klingon. Klingons are a fan favorite, one of my favorites. Well, they're kind of one-dimensional. They're all about war and fighting and stuff, but they're very interesting. I always liked the look of the Klingon foreheads that they would give the different actors. I always thought the little toe horns there were kind of interesting. Here's what the bottom looked like. What does the bottom say? Let's see. The bottom says... It doesn't say Klingon. It just says... Trademark and copyright 1992, Paramount Pictures, all rights reserved, Star Trek and related marks and trademarks of Paramount Pictures, Hamilton Gifts authorized user, made in China. So it doesn't actually say Klingon on it. But there's the Klingon. Klingons were the main adversaries of the Federation of Star Trek throughout the years. They became allies in Star Trek Next Generation, but there's been an uneasy peace between them, and there's been wars between them since, back and forth, because Klingons are very warlike people. There's a Klingon. Okay, now on to the Next Generation universe and beyond. This is a Ferengi. This is what the Ferengis initially looked like when they were first introduced in the Next Generation. Ferengis are noted for their big, huge ears and their bulbous heads. At first, they're portrayed as very primitive, but they've since been portrayed as greedy. They're all about the profit. They follow their leaders. Their supreme leader is called a Nagus. He's the one that tells them how to be greedy, how to gain profit, pretty much how to run their lives, it's all about the profit for them. And on the bottom here, it doesn't say Ferengi. It pretty much says the same thing as the Klingon. Oof. Got some spider webs down in there. They were first on an episode of The Next Generation where there was big, huge crystals on the planet. So it looks like they have some little crystals there. The Ferengis have since been dressed a little better than this. Maybe they can portray these as being like more warlike, more militaristic Ferengis, and the other ones are more about the profit. But they had this whip, this electronic whip that could shoot out these electric bolts at people and stun them. That's what he's holding there. Another Next Generation character that went on to Deep Space Nine and Voyager's Q. Q was portrayed by John Delancey. Corbin Burnson and some other actors have portrayed Qs since then, in addition to John Delancey. But see here, his base actually is a Q, the letter Q there. Qs are an omnipotent race. They just go by the name of Q, and they can pretty much do anything. He's very mischievous. He comes in and he's very much a comedic, pretty much comic relief for the series. So whenever there was a Q episode on the Next Generation, it was always the title of the series was of the episode had something to do with a Q. Q who, Cupid, and so on. So that's pretty much Q's role was for comic relief on the series. John Delancey really hasn't done much since then. I know he probably doesn't have to because he probably got a lot of money doing the Next Generation. He's done some movies in the 90s, and he's done some video games, Star Trek video games. I don't really know of him doing much other than the Star Trek series. The Borg. The Borg is a popular enemy in the Star Trek universe from the Next Generation on. They are a cyborg race. They are interested only in obtaining technological distinctivenesses of races. Resistance is futile. They are very powerful. At first, the Enterprise was able to defeat them, but they are able to adapt whenever they meet a race. They're able to adapt their defenses for whatever that race can throw at them. Whether it's the phasers or photon torpedoes, they will adapt their shields and their technology and their defenses. So there you have the aliens of Star Trek, PVC figurines. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Thanks for coming to this episode of The Cats. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Thanks. Bye.